Hello everyone, Ryan here. So this Music Monday will be posted kind of late. So, some other stuff came up, I got kind of busy, so. And plus, I kind of felt like I didn't want to clutter my channel too much with one kind of video on one particular day, but I don't know. So yeah, in the future, if I don't upload anything on Music Monday, then yeah, just assume I will upload something the next day, so. But anyways, I wanted to talk about Pantera. Now, Pantera is one of those bands that have been around for a while. I believe they got started sometime in the 80s, and their sound back then was very different than what it eventually became in the 90s and also early 2000s. The guitar player, Dimebag Darrell, is an awesome guitar player, or rather, I guess I should say was now, but to me, he always will be definitely one of my top 5 favorite guitar players of all time, and that includes metal, rock, alternative, blues, jazz, or whatever it is, because that's how versatile he was. And, unfortunately, for those of you who don't know, who aren't familiar with the band's history and all that, there's a time when they broke up, they split up, and I want to say it was like in 2003 or 2004, Dimebag, he was touring with his other band at the time. They were called Damage Plan, which is another awesome band. Unfortunately, they only recorded one album. But they're playing at all these like small venues, and I believe they were playing at some club somewhere in Ohio. I want to say Columbus, Ohio, or somewhere kind of close to Columbus, Ohio. But it was a small club and very little security, and unfortunately, I don't know, how long the concert had been going on before some guy actually ran across the stage and shot Dimebag in the head. I don't know how many times. I'd say more than a couple times. And so, unfortunately, he was killed right there, instantly. And then after that, some security guard who was there came up on stage, and the same guy that shot and killed Dimebag, he then started firing into the crowd. He shot at the other band members, I believe. I think 2 of the other band members got injured. Thankfully not severely, but they were still injured. And then the gunman also fired into the crowd, and people were panicking, and that's when the security guard came up on stage and tried to tackle. I don't know if he tried to tackle the guy or not, but eventually he just shot the guy and he killed the guy. That was that. And I remember when I first heard the news, a friend of mine called me, actually a former bandmate of mine, called me and told me, and I didn't believe it at first, and this was still back in the day when, social media, before social media was just an idea, really. So it wasn't like I couldn't get on my computer and look up all this stuff, and well, I could have, but back then, you know, I had such a very cheap, unreliable internet service, so, which I believe a lot of people did back then too. So, so yeah, and then it wasn't until the next day I saw on the news they were finally talking about it on the news. Only then did I believe it, and I want to say it was like one of the very few times that I was actually affected by the death of one of my favorite musicians, and it was also kind of weird because I didn't expect to be affected by it so much, and yeah, I just remember, you know, after I saw on the news and it was confirmed and all that, and then some of his band members, you know, the other guys in the band that he was touring with at the time, they confirmed it too, and then after that, then I just remember I was pretty pissed off, and I threw a bunch of stuff around in my room, and but yeah, I mean, it's, you know, I mean, as far as like, you know, the music, you know, Dimebag, he was so influential. I mean, Dimebag and Pantera, but I mean, to me, it's always been like Dimebag's awesome guitar playing, phenomenal guitar playing, such a big part of the band Pantera, and other projects he was involved in too, but primarily Pantera. And so naturally, you know, of course, you know, after that, you know, there was no way Pantera was going to get back together, and yeah, I don't know, I guess still to this day, whenever I think about it, whenever I listen to a Pantera song, like, they've got so many awesome songs, which, by the way, if you're not familiar with any of them, I will provide the appropriate links down below. But I mean, they got so many awesome songs, like, you know, Walk, Respect, This Love, Cemetery Gates, Cowboys from Hell, 5 Minutes Alone, so many others, even Revolution Is My Name. That's definitely one of my all-time favorites from Pantera. And it's just, you know, it really sucked. To this day, it sucks because, you know, whenever I'm always reminded of it every time I listen to a Pantera song and I hear Dimebag's awesome guitar playing, also awesome lead guitar playing. That was another thing about him too. Not only was he an insanely awesome rhythm guitarist, but also an insanely awesome lead guitarist. And I mean, I just remember, like, when I first started getting into Pantera and listening to all their albums chronologically, I just remember, like, pretty much every song, or at least every other song, I was being blown away by. I was either being blown away by his rhythm guitar playing or his lead guitar playing, or both at the same time. And to me, that there's very few guitar players that can do that to me, that can impress me on more than one level. That's how I feel, you know. And I know a lot of people will argue about that. You know, a lot of people will say, "Oh, there's a crap load of guitar players that are way better than Dimebag," blah blah blah. And well, that's fine. I mean, for me, I say, you know, we all got our own tastes and whatnot. But just for me, like, you know, Dimebag, I was always impressed by what he did. And not just because of the fact that he was awesome, an awesome musician, but also too because he had this, like, very clear and focused attitude about how he approached music and really how he approached his life. Because after his death, a lot of people came forward, a lot of friends and relatives and a lot of other musicians, they talked about, what an awesome guy he was, how, not only was he an awesome musician, but he was also an awesome person. And yeah, I just remember after hearing all that, it made me question even more, why did that bastard have to kill him? And supposedly the guy that shot him, he was like an ex-Marine or something like that, and he was also bipolar or was struggling with some kind of mental illness, and he was off his meds. He should have been taking his meds, but I guess at one point he stopped taking them, and so he lost control. But yeah, it really sucks. It's as far as the other members of the band Pantera, like I know their drummer Vinnie Paul is Dimebag's brother. I know he was definitely affected by it the most, no doubt. And then the singer of Pantera, Phil Anselmo, he released statements and all that too, and still to this day he talks about it. And there's a lot of people that try to blame him in some way for Dimebag's death because I supposedly, I guess it was the singer Phil who didn't want to do anything with Pantera anymore. I don't know, he wanted to take a long break or something like that. And so there was a lot of people that blamed Phil because, they figured, if Pantera had still been together, Dimebag wouldn't have been playing there at that small, crappy venue with very little security. And the guy, wouldn't have rushed up on stage and killed Dimebag. And, but obviously during these kinds of scenarios, everybody likes to speculate and say, what if this, if this happened, if he was never there. Well, yeah, obviously, if he was never there, he wouldn't have been killed. But at the same time, nobody knows that. I mean, it's, unless you're a really proven psychic, there's no way to know that, to predict those kinds of things. And, well, yeah, and the bass player too, Rex, he also commented on it, and I believe recently the bass player Rex, he released a solo album, and I haven't heard it, but I don't know, I should definitely give it a listen. He actually plays guitar on it, and I don't know if he also plays bass or whatnot. The bass player, he's always had a really awesome, really deep bass tone, and I've always liked that. But yeah, that's, later on I'm definitely going to review some Pantera albums, and definitely got to get on that. Of course, at the same time, it'll be after I upload this and upload some other videos, and but yeah, ultimately I just wanted to at least talk about Pantera somewhat, but also in regards to Dimebag and how much, Dimebag was pretty much 90%, at least 98, 99% of Pantera, and that's how I feel. I'm sure a lot of other people feel, a lot of other Pantera fans feel the same way. So yeah, that'll do it for this Music Monday. Once again, if you haven't listened to anything by Pantera or you're really not that familiar with them, I will provide a lot of links down below. I'll also provide some links where you can check out how awesome a guitar player Dimebag really was and always will be. So, yeah. Rest in peace, Dimebag. Thanks for listening to this. Thanks for watching. As always, till next time, don't forget, keep it real, keep on rocking, and peace.